Welcome back to Queen City News. Queen, questions are still swirling around that Marine Corps fighter jet that crashed in South Carolina after its pilot safely ejected. Chief Transportation Correspondent and professional pilot Mackay Beeler is here with a look at the implications of the crash. Mackay.
Well, that pilot was on a training flight on Sunday when he was ejected from his F-35B. Well, crews found the plane the next day after it crashed about 60 miles away from the ejection site. There's a really big question hanging out there. Why was the pilot ejected from his plane? Now, the Marine flyer suffered some minor injuries in Sunday's ejection. The ejection seat in a high-performance military aircraft, it's essentially a rocket chair. It can create tremendous G-forces that can break bones. So typically, pilots only bail out of their warplanes when there's a catastrophic system failure or battle damage and they can't land safely. The F-35's loss can also be catastrophic for military commanders and government accountants. That's the judgment of retired Marine Colonel and military analyst Mark CANCIAN.
When one of these aircraft crashes, the United States has to come up with an additional $100 million to replace it. Now, one piece of good news is that military flight has become much more safe over time. If you go back 20, 30, 40 years, the accident rate was enormous. Now, the aircraft weren't as expensive, but it was a tremendous problem for our pilots because we were losing dozens, even hundreds of pilots to aircraft accidents. Nowadays, very few aircraft crash. We lose very few pilots, but of course, when they do crash, they're very expensive.
Yes, and they're also hard to replace. CANCIAN says Pentagon leaders, they don't have a stock of F-35B stealth fighter jets at the ready to be replaced. Each of the sophisticated jets has to be ordered, and production time, well, that can take years. The loss of an F-35 could force commanders to use older, less sophisticated warplanes for critical missions.
Yeah, Mackay, let's get back to that pilot's ejection from the plane. I've seen Top Gun and GoldenEye countless times. It really looks like a violent type of thing. How does that ejection work?
It is violent, and in most fighter planes, standard ejection seats, they don't operate automatically. The pilot has to make a conscious decision to pull a lever to initiate what's called the punch out. But the F-35B is a different bird. So this is video from Fort Worth, Texas last December of an accident involving an F-35B at the factory. You see, this particular plane can take off and land vertically and hover like a helicopter. So if something goes wrong, the pilot may not have time and be able to act fast enough to start the ejection process. So the F-35B has an auto function on its ejection seat to save the life of the pilot if there's a problem in the hover mode. So Defense Department investigators, they're looking into the crash, and they're also looking into how the plane kept flying for 60 or more miles after the pilot ejected.
Yeah, certainly a lot of questions still to be answered in this investigation. It'll be ongoing. Mackay, thanks.